Alrighty, Year 11. So now that we have read and unpacked the background information and found out what the source and the context of these texts are, let's actually move on to the texts themselves. So in APA 2, remember, you're going to be analysing multiple texts. And in this sample, I suppose this is almost like a sample sack. You've got three texts, text A, B, and C, which is a visual. Let's start off with text A, and let's use our APA 2 annotation checklist on the left-hand side here to figure out what we should be unpacking and annotating for. So let's start with text A. So text A is titled Her Majesty's Tireless Work and Commitment, and it's written by Marg Richards of Werribee. So straight away, I'd be probably annotating this. So the title of Richard's letter to the editor automatically begins with a positive connotation. So phrases like tireless work and commitment. These are inherently positive, desirable qualities. And desirable actions and behaviours. So straight away you can probably tell just by the title of this letter to the editor that Richards is going to have a positive view or a positive stance on the legacy and the life and the achievements of Queen Elizabeth II. So she begins her letter by saying the Queen must be the most important figure of the 20th and 21st centuries. So again, notice straight away how punchy she is and how obvious she is with her language. So must being a high modality verb. So it's not that, she could be the most important figure of the 21st century. It's not that, she might be the most important figure. It's she must be. So again, these are things I would be analysing in terms of language choices in this letter to the editor. And again, the most important figure. So notice that most is a superlative, so an adverb that I suppose signifies the extent or the degree of something, and most is a very high superlative. So this could also be her contention, that the Queen and her legacy deems that she's the most important figure in the 20th and 21st centuries. So just from the title of the letter and the first sentence of the letter alone, you've got a lot of language choices and a lot of persuasive language techniques to analyse. Okay, so let's read her second paragraph. Ricard states that it is inconceivable how so many aged letter writers cannot acknowledge or respect her tireless work and commitment to serve this troubled world. So, interestingly, it's so essentially what Ricard is saying here is she cannot believe how many of the aged readers and letter writers can't respect the Queen's commitment and tireless work. So many of the aged letter writers who cannot respect her tireless work. I'd say this is probably her target audience. So Ricard's is, well, I should spell that properly. Ricard's is targeting the age readership / letter writers who are critical or dismissive of the Queen's legacy, achievements, and lifetime of work. Okay, boom. We've just done audience. That's done. Now, she then begins with a list. So she states her diplomacy in keeping world peace, her patronage of so many charities and causes, her environmental work including the planting of 20 million trees under the Queen's Commonwealth Canopy Initiative, her position as the head of the church, and so much more. So here, Ricard's is, I keep spelling Ricard's wrong, keep forgetting that C, is using the PLT or the Persuasive Language Technique listing. So she lists some of the Queen's most impactful achievements slash actions. Okay, so again, here she's painting the Queen or portraying the Queen in a positive light. Okay. Alright, Year 11, so far what I've done is I've identified a number of persuasive language techniques and language choices that Rickards is using in her letter to the editor. What I haven't done yet though is annotate and unpack how Rickards is attempting to position her audience to think something, to feel something, to do something, or to view the issue that she's discussing through a certain lens. And remember, positioning is the most important part. It's where you're going to get the most marks. So again, if we revisit her technique of listing, she's listing all the important and charitable things the Queen has done to benefit society and the world pretty much. So I'll be asking myself, why is she doing this? We know how she's using the technique of listing, but we have to consider, we have to unpack why she's using listing. So it comes back to the audience, right? Remember, Rickards' target audience are the age readers or people who are dismissive or critical of the Queen's legacy. They don't think that she's worthy of the praise that she's getting after her death. They are dismissive of all the great things that the Queen has done in her lifetime. So what Rickards is doing is she's using listing in order to position these critics to view the Queen in a more positive and appreciative manner that is more reflective of, what the Queen's, all the positive things and the philanthropic things the Queen has done in her lifetime. So again, this is where you have to annotate and unpack the why. So you could say Rickards uses listing in an attempt to reveal to those who are critical or dismissive of the Queen's legacy that she is worthy of more respect and appreciation because of all the charitable philanthropic, which means like giving back, and significant work she undertook in her lifetime. Okay, so whenever you are unpacking a text and annotating, you always want to come back to the why and the positioning. So we know what Rickards' argument is. She's arguing that the Queen is worthy of respect, and we need to acknowledge all the incredible work she's done in her time on the throne. We know how she's doing that. She's using things like high modality verbs, superlatives. She's using the technique of listing, but we always have to come back to the why, the positioning. Why is Rickards using this, and how is she trying to position her audience to think, feel, do, or view? Okay, so it's really important that when we're unpacking and annotating texts, we always come back to the why, the positioning. Okay, but yeah, there's probably a few more things that we could unpack with text A. Again, Rickards writes, politicians who come and go could not do this work. So again, she's juxtaposing the Queen versus politicians, and she's really painting the Queen in a more positive light than politicians. She's saying that politicians only serve for 3 or 4 years at a time, and they're fleeting and they're inconsistent, whereas the Queen represents stability. She represents genuine progress. Okay, and again, she's doing this to portray the Queen in a positive light in an effort to position her audience of people who may be critical of the Queen to view her as someone who is deserving of praise, respect, and exaltment. Okay, She sort of changes up her tone here a little bit as well. I'm not sure if this is an attack, but she definitely criticizes people who don't or aren't respecting or acknowledging the Queen's great work as people who don't understand or overlook the importance of leadership and ritual in their lives. So again, a critical, attacking tone, perhaps. I think attack's quite strong, but it's definitely quite critical. Okay, and then she ends the piece by saying, "May the Queen rest in peace, and may Charles carry on this role." So again, she brings in Charles and the royal family as well. So that's another key, I suppose. That's another layer to her argument. So we've unpacked text A. We have a pretty good idea of the argument that Rickards is making. We have identified a few persuasive language techniques as well as the different language choices. In other words, the how. And we've also unpacked the why. Why is Rickards using certain techniques in an effort to position her audience to think, to feel, to do, to view? In the next part of this video, that's compare text A to text B.